Sub Rogan Gamer. Yeah, I don't. I still don't really believe this story is real. All right, let's run it. There's the Prime Krigi.
They say that nothing on the internet is ever truly gone. One of the most compelling aspects
That's
of
wrong.
this very
All of my
resource
old
that we
anime
use every
music
day
videos are gone.
is the fact that, for the
Can't get
most
them back.
part, any and everything that's ever been posted online can be archived.
Nope, not my
forever, like a never-ending diary.
shit. I've been trying for years to find my old
This allows
videos.
the possibility for an incomprehensible amount of information gathered from the past and present available to us at any
Thanks
given
for
time.
Sorry and Paradox.
Over on Reddit, a lot of strange, disturbing, and even depressing things have played out over the years.
Thank you, Canada
leaving
Matt.
us
Appreciate
with
the 5
tons
gift
of
subs.
stories and events to dig through. Within this vast sea of archives, though, is one that really hit home for me back when it happened, as it, in real time, merged the realms of the internet and reality, ultimately leaving people absolutely baffled at the resolution.
I'll be the
Ready?
judge of that.
Because tonight, we're going to head back in time to 2016 to explore the incredibly bizarre and heartbreaking story of a Redditor by the name of Jason in Hell.
Jason in Hell. That's pretty extreme.
On the late evening of October 28th of 2016, a Redditor named Jason in Hell would make a sudden post to the relationship advice subreddit, seeking counsel regarding a cheating situation that played out between his wife and neighbor. His post is titled, "I'm having a hard time coping with my wife having cheated on me with our neighbor."
Damn!
In
She
the
cheated with a
post,
51-year-old
he outlines in
dude?
immense detail
He must
his
be slinging
experience
meat.
catching his wife cheating on him over a year prior. At the time, though, little did everyone know that this would be the spearhead of the absolute turmoil that he and his family would soon begin to endure.
Hey, thanks. God damn, Carstark. Thank you. Appreciate the bits.
So, quick side note before we move on. I did a story narration back in my Redditor
Maybe I
Escapes
can't
the
watch
Cult
that
video,
shadow.
and you guys seem to like it. For this one, we're going to lay things out largely the same way. We'll
Like a
go
Prime
through
Party.
Jason's full story before diving into the aftermath of how things turned out. The original post is about an 8-minute read, so if you'd like to grab a snack or drink before we get into it,
Oh, Jesus,
now would
okay.
be the time.
I was hoping for just the cliff notes, but that's okay. Fuck it, we're already here. I'll let it ride.
I'm having a hard time coping with my wife, having cheated on me with her neighbor. It has been 476 days since I confronted her about it. How do I know? Because every time I catch myself thinking about it, I tell myself, it's only been X days. Maybe you won't think about it tomorrow.
That sounds highly unlikely.
So
He's
to go
not an
back to the
anime
beginning,
character.
I had
No one
just
does
taken on
that.
a new project and new responsibilities at work. I was working a lot of hours, 60 plus per week, and was noticeably stressed. It was in May of 2015 that I noticed that she had a password on her phone. When confronted about it, she told me it was just because she was planning my Father's Day present and didn't want me to ruin the surprise.
Ah.
About a week later, she came
Good
to me and
plan.
told me that she felt guilty keeping a big secret from me and told me that she was having our neighbor, a contractor, build a home office for me as my present. It struck me as odd, as in our 6 years together she's never said she felt guilty about anything and always insists that she never regrets anything in her life. Time goes on, her phone is still
Thanks for
password
resub Eevee
protected,
and the Prime
and
Squish.
things don't feel right. I see her using her phone and smiling to herself more and more often, but when I ask her what she's doing, she says nothing and puts her phone away. So one morning, I wait for her to get in the shower, and I grab her phone before it requires the password. I go through her messages and find that she's texting the neighbor. "I'm all covered in frosting.
What?
You want to lick it off?"
What is this, porn? Like, what are you talking? There's no fucking way this is real. What? Why is everyone saying this is real? Who? So was she actually covered in frosting? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Raided a kid's birthday party and fell and flopped around in the cake? I highly doubt this is real. The guy starts by saying, it's been 476 days since I found this. I know because I've counted every day. Telling myself I'll forget about it tomorrow or whatever. That does not sound real at all. I'll let it ride, but this is very fishy at best.
There were no other messages to the neighbor, but I found out later that was because she had set up her phone to delete messages after a certain amount of time. I felt uncomfortable with it, but I knew she had a perverted sense of humor, and I thought she would never do anything to hurt me. More time goes by, and the neighbor is spending more and more time at our house, but the office is being completed slower and slower. I can't help but worry that something isn't right, so I start checking her location using Google Timeline. It was at this point that I realized that there are large gaps in her GPS history because she was turning off her phone's GPS.
Jesus.
Fast forward to July.
So this guy's basically a
The
stalker.
paranoia is driving me nuts, so I tell her that I need to install a new antivirus on her phone. While she has it unlocked for me, I install an anti-theft software so I can remotely turn the GPS back on and set up AT&T message backup and restore so I can read all of her text messages.
Does a program like that even exist?
Computer.
That sounds like a convenient tool in like a
My mother
bad
asked to spend
CW
time with my
movie.
2 kids, so my wife
For people
drops
that don't
them off with
understand
her
technology.
And that's the day to herself. I watch my wife's activity from work as she spends the day trying to meet up with a neighbor.
That exists?
But is unsuccessful because he's busy with another job site. That night, we get the kids back from my mom's house and we go to dinner with a neighbor, his girlfriend, and his son. My wife and his girlfriend are having a good time, drinking, laughing, and just joking around. His girlfriend mentions that she'd like to see Magic Mike. I say it's a good idea and I'll watch the kids so my wife and her can go. So my wife and her go, and the neighbor and I go back to my house so the kids can play video games together.
Oh shit, he beats his ass.
The kids are back in my son's room playing games, and the neighbor's sitting across from me on the other couch. It's at this point that my wife starts texting him. She's describing sex acts that she would like to perform with him, and he's reciprocating. She tells him to check his Snapchat, and at the same time, I get a Snapchat from her too, and it's her fingering herself in a bathroom stall. They keep
Is he
talking,
married
trying figure out when
to
they can meet up and
fucking
have sex.
Susie Squirts a
They decide
lot?
on
Like
Monday morning after I go to
who
work.
does that?
So in my head,
What?
I already planned to pretend to leave and circle back to catch them, but then they tell each other they love each other, and it's all I can do not to leap off the couch and knock him out. But I contain myself and continue reading
This
the
seems so
conversation
goddamn
unfolding
fake.
in front of me. Then he tells her, "You're my girl now," to which she replies, "Always have been," ending with him writing, "And always will be."
This is fanfic. This is literally fucking fanfic. Holy shit.
My wife and the neighbor's
I've been
girlfriend
duped.
return from the movie, and I ask them politely to sit down. I then ask the kids to stay in my son's room and shut the door. I return to the living room and confront my
Damn,
wife
Red.
and the neighbor. I say, "So you two love each
I
other,
really
huh?"
appreciate the huge
And my
bits, and I'm
wife goes
glad you
into
had fun
full-blown
tonight.
denial mode, and
Thank
the
you,
neighbor's
Red.
girlfriend starts smacking him. I ask my wife if she's been texting him. She says no, so I show her the text messages. She admits to it but says it was the first time that it went that far. I ask my wife if she sent him pictures. She says no, so I show her the picture, and she admits it but says it was the first time. I ask her if she's having sex with him, and she says no. Because I didn't want to catch them
Thanks
having
for
sex
sub,
together,
limp
I
listen,
didn't have
and
evidence
Ray.
to prove her
Give sub Ray.
wrong, so that one stayed unresolved. I tell her that I'm leaving her, and she tells me that she'll make sure that I never see my kids again if I do. She planned on using the fact that I had attempted suicide in high school to prove me unfit to have children. She continues to say that it was my fault for being so busy with work and stressed out that she just wanted someone she could talk to. Then she gives me an ultimatum to decide what I'm going to do, or she'll decide for me. The neighbor's girlfriend starts defending the two of them, saying that it couldn't have been that
What?
serious if they weren't having sex, and that my wife and I are too perfect together to let this break us up. The neighbors go home, and my wife and I
Okay,
argue
yeah,
for
that
the rest
sounds
of the
like
night
something
about
normal
what
that
we're gonna
happens.
do. We go to bed separately, having not resolved anything. We keep going back and forth on the subject all weekend, and finally settle on we were going to separate temporarily while we figure out what we want. I was going to stay in the house, and she was going to take the kids and go to her mom's house. That Monday I go to work, and I get a text from her in the middle of a meeting with my bosses, stating that she had explained things to our kids, but they were upset, and I needed to explain things to them also. I get home from work to find my kids crying. She had told them that mommy had to move out because dad was mad at her. When my son wanted to stay with me, she told him that he can't.
Oh, it's getting real dark.
My son put it together that if mommy has to move out because I'm mad at her, and he must move out, then I must have been mad at him too. My daughter was crying because my son was, but I don't think that she was old enough to understand what was happening. It was at this moment I realized that she was going to drag the kids through hell if I left her, so I swallowed my feelings and begged her to stay. She agreed and insisted that I apologize to our neighbor since we were still going to need to hang out with him because our sons are good friends.
Thanks for your sub
I
water.
hate it, but I do it anyway. We still hang out with them from time to time, and they come to our various birthday and holiday parties, but I'd do anything for my kids, and I behave civil every time. Things died down for a while. I still think about it constantly. I worry how I can keep from making her so unhappy that she cheats on me again. Then, almost a year after the original incident, around Father's Day again, she sends him pictures again. She claims that it was an accident and that she meant to send them to me instead. I don't fully believe her, but I move on anyway.
Thanks, Resub Prater.
Things have been quiet on that front for about 4 months now, but I still think about it constantly.
In
This
this
is going
video,
to sound
Dion?
stupid, but I feel like I have a part of my brain that I can't shut off, that's always thinking. I used to use that to solve programming problems, and it made me very good at my job, but ever since this incident, the only thing it thinks about is her and him, and if I did the right thing. My job performance has suffered, and I
Thanks,
feel like
Resub
I haven't
OT.
gotten sleep in months. I'm afraid that after this much time, and the fact that I begged her back, that to say that I want a divorce now would only make her more vindictive towards my kids and I just feel like I put myself so deep in a hole that I could never get back out. I haven't really talked to anyone about this. I didn't want to talk to my mom about it because I felt like she would treat my wife differently, and I didn't need the two fighting.
Alright, now I'm all caught up on the lore.
I tried talking to one friend about it, but his advice was to put my trust in God, but that was not much solace for me as I'm an atheist.
That sounds
I
like
have
a
no clue
Redditor
what to
for
do with
sure.
my feelings, or how to move on from this.
And then I also spit in my friend's face and said wubba lubba dub dub.
In response to Jason, users chimed in with a mixed bag of emotions. To get the full picture on all the flack that he was getting for this, here are a few examples. I cannot believe you stayed with her. I cannot believe you begged
I don't
her
really
to stay.
care about
I
the
cannot
Redditor
believe you
response, I just
apologized
want to
your
know
neighbor.
where this story goes, to be honest.
Smack the shit out of that old man. Go to an attorney and talk about ways to get custody of your kids. Your wife's a twat. Staying in a marriage for the sake of the kids never works out. She obviously was sleeping with him and then got you to apologize to him. She denied it all. She will put you through the ringer when you divorce her, but you should do it. Chances are, now she has a second phone and an email address to talk to him.
A detective,
Your wife
good,
is vicious
finally.
and toxic, and you have to decide if you divorce her now or when your kids have moved out. The sooner the better. So this all would be a lot for anyone to handle. Taking some of the serious, grounded advice that a few people had thrown in there was pivotal for him to begin moving on from this. And so we did. 4 nights later, on November 1st, Jason would return to the relationship advice subreddit and make a follow-up post.
Okay, where are we at, Jason?
I'm taking your advice. He explains his next move. Instead of trying to fix something that she doesn't want to fix, I'm going to get myself and my kids out. I meet with an attorney next week. Thank you everyone for helping me see how far I had my head up my ass. In
Very
response
nice,
to
very
this
nice.
one, Reddit wished him luck in his endeavors, reinforcing the idea that he's making the right move. But then something strange would happen.
Uh-oh, aliens? What happened?
Going through the comments a bit
Galactic
deeper
fight?
reveals something a little odd. Like we said, yes, people were commending him on his decision, but about a week later, people began jumping back into the post,
What?
linking a news article that seemed to align with this situation with striking accuracy.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Smith. Thanks for joining us. 2 Montgomery County children are dead tonight. Their mother, 30-year-old Brandy Worley, says she is responsible for their deaths. News 18's Krista Henry joins us now live from the the Montgomery County
Thanks to
Courthouse
Resub Logan
tonight with
ad,
more on
and the
this
Tier 1
developing
Rico,
story.
and
Krista?
Resub Spike caps.
Well,
And the
Jeff,
big raid
this
tech
morning when
ton.
I asked Sheriff Mark
Thank you,
Castile
goddamn.
if
The door
Worley
of fate
showed any
shall
kind of
open.
remorse, he answered with no,
I've
and then
been
went on to
waiting
say,
for
quote,
you,
she, in
friends.
fact, acted very matter-of-fact.
Hold on. Thank you for the huge raid, Tectone. And thanks to the resub Rogan Gamer. Yeah, I still don't really believe this story is real. This seems like classic Reddit when they thought they caught the Boston bomber type thing, connecting these dots. Clearly I'm not done yet, so I don't know for sure. But yeah, just to catch you up to speed. Dude's wife was slamming meat of a 51-year-old neighbor, and dude went to Reddit for advice, as any sane man would do, I guess. And now Redditors in the follow-up are saying that his wife killed the kids. So that's where we're at. Thanks to Prime Shift. Reasons why I think it's fake. This guy counted every day for 476 days that his wife was cheating. And apparently his wife fingers herself in movie theater stalls and sends it to him or sends it to the neighbor on Snapchat and him. So I don't know, it seems weird. Seems fishy.
According to ABC6 Indianapolis, on November 17th of that year, a Montgomery County mother was charged with 2 counts of murder after police say she admitted to killing her 2 young children. According to the probable cause affidavits, Brandy Worley told police that her husband was divorcing her, and "I did not want him taking them, so I stabbed them." The children's father, Jason Worley, was sleeping in the basement at the time of the crime.
Jesus, why the basement?
According to court documents, Jason had filed for divorce on Wednesday, citing an irretrievable breakdown in the marriage as the reason for the divorce. Now, this definitely carries tons of parallels to the original story. Here, we have a woman named Brandy Worley who, in cold blood, murdered her children, citing the fact that she didn't want Jason taking them as her motive. On the other hand, on Reddit, we have this story by this Jason and Hell guy, who has the same first name, might I add, about his unnamed wife being unfaithful and how he just filed for divorce. And lastly, in his original story, he relayed the fact that his wife claimed that he'll never see the kids again if the two split.
These recent Papa Blacks.
Back when this was unfolding, people were speculating that this might be the same guy. Tons of signs were pointing to this, but most were simply trying to maintain that tiny sliver of skepticism. That was until November 21st, when Jason would return to do one last follow-up, essentially confirming everyone's preconceptions. Thank you. I would like to give a heartfelt and sincere thank you for the advice and support I've received here. No one could have foreseen the tragedy that resulted from me filing for divorce. You guys perform a wonderful service to those in need, and I hope you continue to do so in the future. Below this, he attached a link to the same news article outlining the situation. And it was at this moment that everyone realized just how real this entire thing actually was.
Yeah.
Anyway, Brandy was the one that stoically reported this to the authorities.
That sounds like a totally reasonable post for a father going through grief saying thank you and linking the death of his children so casually.
Montgomery County 911, where's your emergency?
203 South Madison Street,
In what town?
Darlington.
Hey, what's going on there?
I just stabbed myself and I killed my 2 children.
You stabbed yourself and killed your 2 children?
Thanks a good sub, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what's your name?
Brandy Worley.
Brandy what?
Worley.
Okay. How do you spell your last name?
Worley.
And where are the children at?
And my daughter's...
No. All of this is real. I'm saying the Reddit post being this couple
And
is what I'm questioning. I'm not done yet, so maybe I'll be convinced here in 4
My
minutes.
husband wanted to divorce and wanted to take my kid. I won't let him have my kid.
Okay, and how old are your children?
7 and 3.
10 and 3?
7.
7 and 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And where did you stab yourself at?
In the neck.
Okay, are you bleeding?
Yeah, there's blood everywhere.
He's the bitch
Okay, where are
lavender.
you at?
In my living room.
You're in your living room?
Mm-hmm.
According to court documents, the 2 children, Tyler and Charlie Worley, were stabbed, resulting in deep lacerations on both of their necks. Brandy had stabbed herself in the same place as well, but this surprisingly didn't end up killing her. Shortly after this, Brandy was treated at the hospital for her stab wound, and about a week later was admitted
Jesus
to jail,
Christ.
where she sat for 476 days up until her final sentencing. In 2018, she was convicted of 2 counts of murder, totaling at 120 years in prison. According to Fox 59, Brandy was expected to claim the insanity defense, but ended up settling for a guilty plea. She appeared to be
Wait,
just as
there's Uncle
unremorseful
Iroh.
as she did in the 911 call.
In the prime.
She spoke in a very matter-of-fact manner when
Senior.
describing her crime. It was heart-wrenching to hear her speak as she did. All I want, and have ever wanted, was to have her out of sight and mind so I could move forward from this horror. To this day, Brandy Worley sits in the Rockville Correctional Facility in Park County, Indiana, serving out her time in prison for the remainder of her life. As for Jason, he's made a return to Reddit under the nickname Jason in Code, giving everyone a much requested update on how he's coping. Here, he claims that it's been incredibly far from easy, and at times he's considered taking his own life due to the anguish caused by the passing of his beloved children. Regarding the sentencing, he believes that Brandy shouldn't have gotten the death sentence because that's what she would have wanted, and after 9 years of giving her exactly that, he wanted to avoid it in any way he could. Overall, though, Jason mostly claims that he's doing better, and becomes more so with each passing day. If I can impart you on something that I have learned through all of this, it's that you
What a
should
fucking
always
story.
take the time to be with the ones you love. It doesn't matter if they're asking you to read The Pokey Little Puppy for the millionth time, or asking you to play Smash Bros, even though you know that they'll wipe the floor with you every time. Just do it, because you never know what time will be the last time. Always make sure they know how much you love them. I had the fortune that the last thing my children ever heard me say was, "I love you. Good night. I'll see you in the morning."
Yeah, maybe it is real. Or that Jason in Hell, whoever made it,
Thanks so much
capitalized
for
off
watching. I'll see you in the next one.
story
I love you all.
for internet points. Kind
you
of like
then.
those people who make Twitter accounts during a tragedy to try and get points and GoFundMes, but I find that unlikely. Damn, what a wild ride. Still, this
For divorce.
really strikes me as super odd. Assuming this is all real, why would he make this post as a follow-up? This does not seem like someone who, literally days after the murder of his kids, would be so cavalier to post this. Seems very odd to me. But, who knows, I guess. Thanks to resub Selden and the Prime Aiden and Turtle. The resub Giblet. Cavalier being the wrong word. Yeah, could be fake, probably real though. Reddit karma is like the least, like on the food chain of social points, it's literally the lowest. Nobody is Reddit famous. I guarantee maybe 5 people can tell me who has the most karma on all of Reddit because no one gives a fuck. So I don't think someone would farm karma like that. You can be Twitter famous, Facebook famous and all that shit, but Reddit, I've never heard of someone Reddit famous or anything like that. You command 0 power and 0 presence by having a ton of karma on Reddit. Seen that one actually, Wicked. And thanks to the resub Super. So it's probably real then. Fucking wild story. Deep fucking Value isn't famous for Reddit. He's famous for that entire GME movement, which started on Reddit, I suppose, so you could argue it, but it's not like he was just a Reddit commenter. Like he wasn't a Reddit karma farmer. He was a Redditor who did something fucking crazy, which caught on and blew up. I guess, Bind. I'm just assuming it's real. It seems very, very wild if that was all an elaborate fake from that Reddit account. Thanks for the gift, Sub Wheela.
I'm built differently, I'm built differently, I'm built differently, I'm built differently.
I guess, Bind. I'm just assuming it's real. It seems very, very wild if that was all an elaborate fake from that Reddit account. Thanks for the gift, Sub Wheela.
I'm built differently, I'm built differently.